In today's very, very scary show, you will witness extreme pumpkin carving and real-life ghost hunters. You will pull back the veil of mystery with a psychic medium. You will be terrified by an author of eerie books, and you will see the terrifying spectacle of midnight madness. Turn back now or experience the horror of Halloween Magazine. Hello and welcome to another edition of Max Magazine. I'm your host, Brad Grass, and today, with some help, I'm being transformed to get into the spirit of Halloween and all things spooky. In fact, look what Scout did. Look at the decorations. Isn't that nice? Good job, Scout. And also to help us with the transformation is our makeup artist, Jennifer. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi.
Now, how long have you been a makeup artist?
About 5 years.
Okay. And is that something you picked up, or did you study it? Or?
No, I went to school.
To school. Do they have a school in Saskatchewan?
No, I had to go to Vancouver.
To Vancouver?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So you went there, you came back here to apply your trade?
Yeah.
Do you find Halloween is the busiest time of year for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you like Halloween?
I do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I hear your house is pretty interesting.
Yes. Yeah,
Right.
it is. I own coffins and a scythe.
Coffins and a scythe?
Yeah.
Like what Death carries? That huge?
Yeah, yeah.
Who better to help us with the amazing transformation today? So we'll get to that in a sec. What do you do for Halloween? Well, Max Cameras went to the streets to find out all things traditional for Halloween and Halloween costumes and even a ghost story or two. Oh, do you like pumpkin carving? Okay. We take it to the next level. Beyond the ordinary pumpkin carving with the triangle eyes, and the jack-o'-lanterns. No. We do extreme pumpkin carving on this show today. You'll see pumpkins so amazing, so terrifying, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Right now, let's have some fun in a pumpkin maze, courtesy of Dutch growers in Saskatoon. Okay, let's get started.
Pumpkins have been around for years. Halloween and pumpkins have been associated for as long as I can remember. And carving pumpkins in the traditional manner of just cutting wedges out of them, that's been around for years. And it's okay, but there's only so much you can do with that. Doing carving a face, a relief carving in a face and a pumpkin is one more step above that. That's I guess they refer to it as extreme pumpkin carving, but it's just one more step above to make it different. I got started into it because I saw these guys with some nice, shiny, sharp tools. And I'm a bit of a fanatic for sharp, shiny tools, tools of any kind, I guess. And when I first saw them carving, I thought, well, boy, that'd be really neat to have those tools because they're sure nice and sharp. And that day, they talked me into coming to do a class with them. And it was just kind of an informal class with a couple of the guys instructing. And I thought, well, okay, I'll give it a try. And probably after that first class, I was hooked. One of the things I liked to do was faces. It was a real challenge. I'd seen some wood spirits in an old rotten tree stump, and that was something that I just had to do. And I just kept working at it until I got to where I can do a face relatively reasonably well. And one day I was asked to try pumpkin carving. So I went to PA and they had a Halloween safety thing going on at the mall. Parkland Ambulance does the safety training, and they put on the promotion at the mall with the mall managers. And we carve as a group, and then they take the pumpkins and they give them to the haunted house, and they stay there until Halloween is over. from home, I probably carve maybe 10 or 13 pumpkins each year and just give them away. The biggest thing is to think about safety. Keep your hands out of the way. You've got very sharp tools. And once you learn that part of it, carry some Band-Aids with you and you just kind of get at it. So if you're going to go into carving, and I think you should anyway, like everybody should be a carver, go there and get to a hardware store and get some tools and just try it. Just start cutting away the pumpkin. Just something really simple. Just do a line drawing on it. And a good place for line drawing would be like out of a coloring book or in the newspapers. Usually around Halloween, the advertisements will have just a line drawing of pumpkin faces or a cat or a moon or a scene or something like that. Do something simple with it. And from there, you'll just go from that one, you'll just start to progress a little bit farther. Once you start realizing that it's a good thing to carve and it's easy to carve, then you just advance a little bit more each year. A couple of drawbacks is it's very slimy, so when you get the hide off the thing, you gotta watch out how you hang on to it because it can roll on you and your tool can come off and you can wear it in your hand. But it's a lot of fun to do. And it's really good for the ego. You've got people that want to know how you do it. And if I had seen it before I started carving, I would say I could never do that too. But anybody can do it. It's just a matter of taking away the stuff you don't want. Throw that part away. Okay, Brad, smile.
Need more orange, I think. It's amazing, uncanny resemblance, really. The pumpkin looks way better than I ever could. I once had a guy make a statue of me made entirely of corned beef. It didn't last long, though. I was hungry, missed lunch that day. How's my transformation coming?
Great.
Yeah, we started with a basic foundation, right, Jennifer?
Yeah.
Any foundation that you can buy in any store?
Yep.
Okay, nothing special, nothing fancy. Now what are we doing?
Now you're getting a little bit of corpse blue-gray.
Corpse blue, is that the official name?
Yeah.
Or corpse blue, if you're looking for that in the stores.
Yes.
Okay, I'm starting to look kind of supernatural. Oh, Saskatchewan has a team of supernatural investigators, just like the ones you see on the shows on A&E and the specialty channels. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, they go out to places that have had reports of strange supernatural activity and they investigate. So Max cameras followed them to Roche Percy, eerie sandstones just outside of Estevan, drenched in history, and many say is haunted. What do you think? Huh. Woo, woo. There we go.
Roche Percy is a village rich in history. Its mayor, Reg Jan, is helping a group of paranormal investigators scout the area. They believe its history may make it a hotspot for paranormal activity. They'll return tonight to conduct a full investigation.
One of the legends of the rocks is there was a great Indian battle here in the area, and there's quite a few arrowheads and that have been found south of the village. But anyways, one tribe was beating the other tribe very badly in the battle, and they retreated here to the rocks. And they turned the tides of battle by hiding themselves amongst the rocks, and they beat back their enemies. And every time they would pass this way again, they would leave presents of tobacco or vermilion in the crevices of the rocks.
I've always been interested in the paranormal, probably since birth. And we really started ghost investigating when I think I was about 12, and we knew that the Fort San Tuberculosis Center was supposed to be haunted, so you could go out and stay out there, and we decided for my 12th birthday we'd go out and see if we'd be brave enough to stay, and from there it just kind of escalated. And one day we caught something in the morgue on tape, and it was this little blue ball of light that flew across the screen in the morgue. And we thought, wow, if we can actually get this stuff on tape, what else can we get? And we really started going out and trying out different types of equipment. And this is before all the other ghost investigating TV shows were out, so we were flying on our own. We figured everything out by ourselves, the different types of equipment that worked, what didn't, what speeds of film and cameras worked, what didn't.
Basically, energy can't die, so once an energy transforms, it has to go somewhere, so there has to be proof.
We did get some feelings out there that we thought would be good to check out, and I think part of that is because it was a battleground. There was something significant that happened there a long time ago. A lot of people died out there during the battle, And because of that, chances are we might get activity.
Great Spirit and Universe, give protection to each person here who is present in flesh in our quest to understand and connect to the answers we are seeking here today.
One of my favorite quotes from another paranormal investigator who has since passed away, but is, "To the believer, no proof is necessary, but to the skeptic, no proof is possible."
Some kind of a presence is going to show itself to us. Here we go, guys. You ready?
There's spirits where they're conscious, they're there because they choose to be, they can do what they like, they can come and go from perhaps another world or dimension to this one. There are spirits that are trapped, supposedly, that can't move on or choose not to move on to whatever else is out there.
It's nice and black, it's warm out, there's no wind, so we can be able to hear things.
Okay.
Sometimes you can even ask the spirit or ghost that's there to make itself known by knocking, and sometimes they'll answer you. You'll hear voices. Sometimes you'll be able to hear them with your ears. Otherwise, you'll hear it through a device.
What we've got here is it's called an EVP maker. And basically what it will do, I'll just turn it up a little bit here for you. It'll play all it's called algorithms of the human voice, okay? And what this will basically do is randomize those. I'll just play it for you here just a little bit.
If I hear it wants to communicate, how many of you are there? Are you here because of a battle that was here many, many years ago?
Can you show us a sign?
This is a electromagnetic field detector. If there's a spirit or ghost energy around, this will pick it up because it picks up low frequency vibrations, which is usually a ghost or a spirit.
Yeah, I've got a really wicked feeling of something watching us, definitely. Something definitely just pulled on my ponytail. No, I feel your hand on my back.
I feel something on my head, yeah.
Yeah, there's something right behind me.
Yeah, take pictures.
Picture. Who knows, maybe in the future that'll be true. There are no such things as ghosts. It's an earth science that we have not yet discovered, or a chemical in the brain we have not yet discovered. It could be anything.
That was exciting.
That was so much fun.
It was exciting. We picked up on a few things for sure.
We command you to stay here in the place where you dwell. Namaste.
Can't come with us.
I know as a kid, me and my friend Tom used to call each other a lot because we didn't live in the same town. So once in a while, I'd call him, he'd put down the phone, do whatever. I used to hear this girl talking, and he didn't have any sisters, and he lived with his dad. So it's kind of scary. Every once in a while, I'd just be on the phone on the computer or something, and then I'd hear some girl talking, and that really freaked me out from time to time.
I used to work at a restaurant. I used to live in the building of a restaurant in Saskatchewan that was. I lived in it for 8 years, never saw a ghost, and then after I left, the place was haunted and written up as a ghost-infested building to the point where the people that lived there moved out.
I've seen a couple of real ghosts. I'm a ghost, in fact, and you're both hallucinating right now because I'm a ghost, and I'm not really I'm just like, this interview won't even you probably won't see me on camera really. You'll hear my voice. It's as spiritual.
Well, we're making some progress. We're taking steps back. It's hard to tell. These what look like scrapes, Jennifer. That's still just playing with colors and makeup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing really fancy. The fancy stuff is coming. She's working with a gel right now. She's boiling water and getting it ready, and it's really cool. So that's coming up. You want to check that out. When you're working with a makeup artist, if you're lucky enough to for Halloween, there's really two ways you can go, right? Really eerie and scary, or fun and light, right? Oh, hey, did you hear the one about the psychic dwarf that escaped from prison?
No.
They say there's a small medium at large. We talked to a medium to find out what was in the cards for us. Check it out. Small medium at large.
tarot cards are 78 cards. Each card has different pictures on it, denoting different things, and you put the cards together in a spread, and it will explain to you what's happening for that person at that point in their life, or in the future, or recent past. It's a story that you tell and share with your person that you're sitting with at the time. Our deck of cards that we have, the clubs, the aces, the hearts, and the diamonds, originated from the tarot in the olden times, and people would draw pictures on them and create stories out of them. It came about, my mom used to read my teacup, and she used to make out little stories with all of the the grounds in the teacup. She also had a lot of superstitions that I think was passed on from her dad, who was right from England, and English people are very superstitious people by nature. And that came to me through my mom, and just that knowledge my mom had about life and about experience. And I often wondered, how do you know this living on a farm? But how do you have all of this knowledge and this knowing? And I think it's because she had the gift too, and had energy and feelings about things that came to her. I see something shifting in your life, like changing. There's going to be a big change that happens, and it has to happen. When I'm doing a reading, I often find each card, something will jump out at me. Like stars sometimes jump out at me in a card, or every card, something jumps out at me. It's not just the meaning of the card per se, it could be part of the picture on a card that jumps out at me. Like one girl came to me, and for some reason a card with stars on it that I've never even really noticed or taken notice of jumped out at me. And I said to her, "Do stars mean something to you?" And she says, "Yes, stars are everywhere in my bedroom. I have star tattoos." And I didn't know this girl from, a hole in the ground prior to meeting her that day. We're all looking for the answer, whether it's to love life, career, work, a new direction they should take in their life. We all have that inner knowing, but sometimes it helps to seek out a counselor or perhaps tarot cards to see if that would be the direction they should go for themselves. On a personal level, I like helping people. I like the mystical side of the world. I always have. I've always been a believer in the universe and that there's something more out there than just us. We are all searching for the meaning of life, and I find that the tarot cards are a medium to explain what we want to know or what we're searching for. And I think it's fun, and I think it's a good energy. It just makes me feel good. I enjoy doing it. It's something that's special to me.
Boom. Cool. Hey, good job, Jennifer.
Thanks.
This is looking really creepy. Bet you didn't see this coming, unless you're a fortune teller. Traditions like fortune telling have been passed on from generation to generation and have inevitably found their way into the haunting tales of Saskatchewan playwright Jacqueline Baker. Jacqueline grew up in Swift Current, which is why the windswept prairie is often found in her eerie fictional tales. Do you know how Jacqueline got her start?
Not a clue.
She was creeping around in her grandma's attic as a little girl, and she found this really scary, dusty old book, and that planted the seed to where she is today. That's why she's so good at what she does. In fact, Max Cameras followed her on a dark and stormy night. Sorry.
Well, I lived for a few years in Medicine Hat, but, maybe 5 years. But other than that, until I left high school, I lived in the little southwest corner. Burstall, Prelate, Medtown. It's less of a fascination than a familiarity, having grown up there. I don't think it's trying to create something so much as trying to recapture something that impressed me as a child. I think we carry the landscape of our youth around inside of us. And so maybe it's more of what my writing stems from. And my grandmother was very superstitious, and one of the things about this recent novel that interested me, not the novel, but when I was writing the novel, is the way that Catholicism, which my family was very Catholic, and pagan superstitions coexisted for my grandmother's generation. So I guess that was maybe something that sparked the book for me. Just as she was telling herself she was behaving like a schoolgirl, that she should get up there and knock, for heaven's sakes, the screen door creaked open and a girl, the daughter, Ma assumed, stood staring down at her. She wouldn't say unfriendly, but not really pleasant either. The girl tilted her head slightly in what Ma took to be a nod, and they stared at each other some more. Ma said later, "I don't know what got into me, but I stood there just as if I didn't have a brain in my head, just staring at that poor girl. Lord, what she must have thought of me." What the girl must have thought of Ma, no one knew. What Ma thought of the girl was this: "Lord God Almighty, that is the skinniest, palest, strangest, most beautiful girl I've ever seen. But Lord, so thin. The child must be near starving to death and yet developed well beyond her years. God help her." I guess I find my inspiration in life, like most writers do, but also from other writers, you know. When I feel like I'm lost or I have lost my motivation or my inspiration, I generally pull out some favorite novels or favorite writers and just read them again, and it somehow clarifies things for me. You know, I really like the writers of the southern U.S., so William Faulkner and Flannery O'Connor, and I think that they all of those writers, what interests me about them is that they don't shy away from, and most literary novelists don't shy away from that complexity of human nature, that we all have varying degrees of darkness, as I said earlier, and that's interesting. That's people, right? Perhaps the girl would have replied then. Ma could see she had offended or at least embarrassed her, but just at that moment the mother appeared. She was a big woman, even by ample standards, with her apron tied up over a large belly and her face round and white and full as the moon. And so that the woman could believe she was not seen, Ma just smiled at the daughter and set the baking firmly on the step and said, "Tell your mother Haiti Reese stopped by. Everyone around here calls me Ma. I'm the next farm over that way. Should she need anything, tell her I said to come for coffee sometime." And so it's the good and the dark, or the light and the dark, that fascinates me about people. And I guess how I think most of us struggle against, at least at some time in our lives, and for some people all their lives, against some kind of darkness. And that interests me.
I think any time where you can go around in a silly costume and get free stuff is a great occasion.
Back in the day, what I favored most was chocolate bars, and it was a bonus when people would give the big, large size, not the little portion.
Nothing with raisins, like no glossettes, no raisins at all, like just none of that.
I actually hate Tootsie Rolls.
Yeah.
I still go trick-or-treating at the end of the night. It's when all the old people are allowed to go, because then the old ladies have all this extra candy they don't want, and they just like load you up.
I've got a lot of younger siblings. Pretty much just come around the end of the night and steal their candy.
He always dresses as Marilyn Monroe, which I find kind of interesting.
It's timeless.
I would probably dress up as an old guy in a suit because, you know, I have the costume.
Why do we like to be scared? I mean, look at me. Why do we do things like this? Why do we drag our sorry butts to the latest scary flick at the movies, or read frightening novels, or what? Oh, you don't get scared. Oh, Scout doesn't get scared, do you, Scout? No, you're a manly man, aren't you, Scout? Yeah. He doesn't. Oh my God. Oh, sorry, no, my bad, thought I saw something. Anyway, Max Cameron's taking out of Saskatoon to a movie theater that plays late-night classic horror flicks once a month. It's called Midnight Madness, and it's not for the faint of heart. Or Scout.
Hi, I'm Tyler Baptist, and I put on Midnight Madness events at the Broadway Theatre. It's kind of a monthly grindhouse event where we show old cult and horror films. I've always toyed around with the idea of putting on screenings of older films to try and bring back either be it cult films or something along the lines of like Taxi Driver, older films like that, because it's something I like to see in the theater. Whereas, because it's kind of a bygone era, we don't have the chance to see that. But the idea for the grindhouse type screenings, I was in Toronto last August, and I attended a screening of Demons 2, and just kind of after seeing that, I wanted to bring that to Saskatoon, so found out who had put that on, contacted them, and just kind of found out how they got started, and kind of went from there.
I saw movies like this in drive-ins in 1978, and I started going to midnight shows in 1984. The lack of a place that feels right for it, and where a crowd can be comfortable doing it and watch this kind of stuff and have a good time.
Welcome to Midnight Madness 5.
It's a part of what we need to do as a community arts center.
It's Friday the 13th, so happy Friday the 13th, everybody. B-movie pretty much is obviously low budget. Anything from cheese, bad acting, if it's a horror film, obviously, some gore, some violence, nudity, pretty much anything that you wouldn't really find in a mainstream film that's, kind of not really taken seriously, but for entertainment and fun. Reception to the past screens that we've had has been really good. We did Warhol's Flesh for Frankenstein. That was the first one we did, and we had about 150 people.
We saw 100 people through tonight, and I would guess that maybe 10 or 20 of them might have never been in this building before. Or if they had, it's been a long, long time. And maybe someone who walked in tonight saw a poster for something else that looks interesting enough that they'll come on a Tuesday night sometime at 7.
I've always been a fan of movies, and always wanted to bring them to the big screen, so that's why I've been doing Midnight Madness, and I'm just working on a pre-show reel right now for the next show. It's something that's new, or something that I'm trying out, that is going to be just a 30-minute video that's going to play before the actual movie begins, just containing various clips of old drive-in intermission segments and various clips from old TV shows and old movies and stuff like that, mixed with image montages of video cassette covers, so hopefully you'll get a good response.
When you're 10 years old, it was all, oh boy, this was bad stuff, this was exciting. Now, for me, at 37, it's just as interesting to watch the crowd and how 16 to 25-year-old kids react now to this stuff. When you watch the crowd watch these films, they're laughing through the slasher films, which would never have happened the first time around. It's about historical context, because you have people watching this now with 20 or 30 years of movement ahead as a culture. So it's like looking at an artifact in a way.
If you're bored on a Friday night, why not come out? It's a theater experience like no other. It's not like going to, a normal Hollywood movie or coming here. There's rowdy crowds, stuff you don't get to see every day, and the scratches, the splices on these old prints really adds a whole character to the movie. Like, you would think, just watching at home would be fun, but as soon as you see the way the print is, it just brings you back to another time. Well, hopefully I'll see you at the next Midnight Madness. Come check it out.
Movie When a Stranger Calls, back from the early 80s. That's the one that scared the bejesus out of me. It was what you didn't see, but it was the guy in the house who you were supposed to, have you check the children.
Cannibal Holocaust.
I'm old enough to remember when the Texas Chainsaw Massacre first came out, and that guy was spooky, and in those days there was nobody before him that was nearly as spooky, that was anywhere near real as he was. So he was scary, and if I saw him today, he'd probably still scare the hell out of me. Oh my God!
Fraggle Rock, I remember when I was a kid watching that, and it was terrifying.
I'll have to say that it's the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Well, I don't know about you, but this episode has scarred me for life. That's it. That wraps up another edition of Max Magazine. We'll be digging up some new Saskatchewan stories for you next time, so make sure you stay tuned. And thanks once again to our mistress of disfigurement, Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer. Awesome job making me the man I am today. Until then, we'll see you next time right here on Max Magazine.
Want to get actively involved? You can submit your own videos to Local On Demand. If it's relevant to your community, we'd like to air it. You just need to find our guidelines for content, quality, and production on the SaskTel website under the Personal category in the Entertainment Services section. Or just send us your program idea. If it's chosen, we'll shoot it and air it on Local On Demand. Email us at max.localondemand@sasktel.sk.ca or send a letter to the address on the screen. We'd love to hear from you.